This is Access 2019, Module 4, Part 3. In this segment, we will be creating a report using the ReportWizard. We will be looking at modifying that report as well as doing conditional formatting. Now, the report that we're going to create will look somewhat like this. It will have the patient information up on the top, and then it will have the visit information underneath that patient. So you'll have a grouping for patients and for visits information. So let's go ahead and get into our liquid database, and we will go to the Create tab and we'll start the ReportWizard. So the first thing we want to do is add the patient information from the patient table. Just like with our form with a subform, we want to do it in this order so that it will be set up correctly as it flows through the wizard. So we're going to add the patient ID, the first name, the last name, the city, the birth date, and the phone number. It's important when you're doing these for your homework and for exams that you add the fields in the order that they're given to you. Then we're going to switch the tables to the visit table, and we're going to go ahead and add all of the fields. But just like in our form with a subform, we have the patient ID up in the top in the patient information, as well as listed with every visit in the visit information. We don't need it listed with every single visit, so we're going to locate the patient ID from the visit table and remove that. Then we're ready to go to the next screen. So this should look very familiar to you if you will remember the form with a subform. This wizard looks very much the same. The patient information is on the top with the visit information underneath it. As long as you entered the fields in the correct order, from the patient table first and then the visit table, this should populate correctly. Let me go to next. Now it's asking if we want any additional groupings. So groupings can be added to where you, for example, in an accounting report called a trial balance, you'll have account entries, debits and credits, that are grouped by account number. But within that account number, we can also group by the month so that all of the entries for a given month are grouped together with subtotals and stuff in between the months. So that's what the concept of groupings are. So we can add additional grouping levels. We're not going to on this one. And now they want to know how we're going to sort the records. About the visits, so we're going to choose to sort them in visit date order, and we're also going to leave it in ascending order. And then we're ready to choose next. Want to make sure you answer all three of these questions when you get to this point in the wizard. We want to use the outline layout. We want portrait orientation. And we want the box checked to say that we want all the fields to fit on one page. Then we'll choose next. We will call this patients and visits. You want to be careful when you're doing these names that you add, for example, the S on the end of patient before the word and. Because if you misspell the object name on your homework project, not only will it not find the report, But all of the steps done on the report will be marked incorrect because it can't find it. So you will potentially miss significant points by misnaming an object. So be very careful here. Patients and visits. So once it opens up into the page preview, we can, or the print preview, excuse me, we can use the zoom button and tell it to fit to one window. That will change the size of the print or the page so that you can see the entire page. You have scrolling arrows here at the bottom so that you can scroll through the pages the same way we did with the records at the top, using the tables. So next we're going to look at doing some modifications to the report. So we're going to go ahead and close Print Preview. When you do that, it brings you into the views for reports. Again, just like with forms, you want to pay attention to the view you're in. We are in Design View. It looks like a grid. We can switch to Layout View. This is also used to modify the report. So we have our modifying tabs up here. And we also have a report view that we can look at the actual data on the report. So we're going to switch to layout view so that we can make some changes. Reports and forms should look very similar to you. There's a lot of similarity between them. One of the things is the themes. Again, if you do a regular click on a theme, it will change all objects. So in order to just change this object, you want to make sure that you do a right click and apply to this object only. Now, because when you change the theme, it does change the fonts, you can see that many of these fields now no longer fit. You do not need to enlarge the boxes if you're going to change the data that's in the box. So for example, if I'm going to change it to read patients space and visits, add the spacing and lowercase the a, I don't have to change the size of the box. It will automatically change to fit my typing changes. So we're going to make the title read Patients and Visits. We can also change the formatting of the letters just like we did on the form title. We can come over to our format and we can say we're going to make it black text 1, lighter 25%. We can make it bold. So we can do these same things that we did on our other one. Now let's look at how we can realign some of the fields. So I'm going to click on the date of birth. And one thing to keep in mind with terminology is you have a label box and you have a field box with every item. So if we want to change the alignment of a field, right now, since this is a date, it is right aligned. If I want to make it left aligned like the rest of my text, I can just come up here into my font group and align that field left aligned. I want to move this walk-in label as well as the text box underneath it. So I'm going to click on the label, hold the Shift key down, and click on the data. Then I can use my arrow keys to move it over. And we're going to move it over a little bit here, but we can also just move one. So if I want to just move the one, I can click on just the data and I can scoot that over to center it. If you want to enlarge one of the boxes, you can grab a right border and just enlarge it so that the data is visible. We're going to move the date of visit over a little bit. So I want to move both the boxes, the label and the data. So I'm going to move them over, let's just say 4 spaces. By doing that, we make a little more room between the two fields. So we'll go ahead and save these changes. So if I look through the report, you can see if there's any other fields that are being cut off and not displayed. We can also add a logo like we did in our form. So we'll go to the Design tab and we'll locate the logo button. We need to locate the support Access4 medical.png file. One difference here is it does not attach to the title, so you do not need to remove the layout to move it. But you do want to, if you're going to resize it, grab a corner so that you're increasing the height and the width at the same time so that they don't distort the picture. The last thing we're going to do is some conditional formatting. So what conditional formatting is going to do is it's going to look at our field, the date. So I'm going to click on the date. It's going to see if it meets a certain criteria, and if it does, it's going to change the formatting of the date, birth date field. So that it stands out. So let's go click on the date of birth field, go to Format, and choose Conditional Formatting. The first thing you want to verify is that the correct field is listed at the top of the screen here. Once you verify that you have the right field, if you don't, you can get a drop-down list and it will let you select the field. We're going to say there's a new rule. Now we're going to put in what the rule is for this particular conditional formatting. And we're going to say that it has to be anyone who is born after January 1st, 1999. So field value is, instead of between, we want greater than for after. And then we put in the date that we want it to be greater than, 1/1/1999. And the last thing we have to do is format it. So we're going to change the font to dark red in the colors down at the bottom. And we are going to make it bold. When you get your rule done, you'll click OK. And then you'll click OK again. Now, when we go to File and Print Preview, we're going to go to Home. We're going to switch to a Print Preview. As we scroll through the pages, you'll notice that anyone who is born after January 1st, 1999, their birth date is highlighted a different color than the rest. So there you can see what the conditional formatting did. We're going to close the print preview. We're going to save. And then we're going to close our report.